this is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
With the all-new Audi Q3, the answer is always yes. Yes to adventure. Yes to escape. Yes to right now. The all-new Audi Q3, made for the yes life.
Hey, this is U.S. Olympic gold medalist Tara Davis-Woodhull.
And I'm U.S. Paralympic gold medalist Hunter Woodhull.
As athletes, our lives are about having a clear path.
And a team that you can absolutely trust.
So when it came to getting the best mortgage,
we chose PennyMac.
PennyMac is proud to be the official mortgage provider of Team USA and you.
Learn more at pennymac.com. PennyMac Loan Services, LLC, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS ID 35953. Licensed by the Department of Financial Protection and Innovation under the California Residential Mortgage Lending Act. Conditions and restrictions may apply.
This is Chelsea Handler from Dear Chelsea, and now a quick break from our sponsor, Vital Proteins. And it is Vital. Collagen Peptides is a wellness supplement that supports healthy hair, skin, nails, bones, and joints. When we hit 30, our body's collagen production starts to drop, and that's when Vital Proteins step in. Their iconic blue tub is everywhere. People love Vital Proteins, in part because it's so easy. Just mix it into your coffee, tea, or smoothie, and you're good to go. And now you can get 20% off your next order at vitalproteins.com by using promo code Chelsea20 at checkout. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Cool Zone Media.
Hey everybody, Robert Evans here, and I wanted to let you know this is a compilation episode. So every episode of the week that just happened is here in one convenient and with somewhat less ads package for you to listen to in a long stretch if you want. If you've been listening to the episodes every day this week, there's going to be nothing new here for you, but you can make your own decisions.
Welcome to It Could Happen Here, a podcast that we're recording for the first time. All of the audio worked perfectly. It was great. The society that has put multiple human beings on the moon did successfully produce functioning audio software. It's wonderful. And with me to celebrate this is Carl Eugene Stroud, who's a language teacher and anarchist militant, and Reed Angles, who's a bus driver and an anarchist member of the Center for Specifismo Studies. Yeah, both of you, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us for this wonderful celebration of audio recording technology.
It's all great. It's all wonderful. Speaking of things that are wonderful, this is why they pay me the. Am I legally allowed to say that it's below market rate? That's why they pay me the slightly below market rate bucks. Yeah, so speaking of wonderful, we are here to talk about putting things back together project, which is Militant Kindergarten. And I guess we should start with talking about what Militant Kindergarten is and what it isn't in terms of it's not we're teaching small children how to take apart buildings.
Yeah, so Militant Kindergarten is a multi-month study of a text. And in that way, we call it a seminar, but it's not that much different than a reading group or a study circle or any of those kinds of things. Essentially, what we're doing is we're using one text to revisit and have conversations with different people that are at various, points in a path of radicalization. We're, distinctly trying to spread the word about the importance and necessity of militancy in our movements, but also teach people about Especifismo, which is an anarchist current that comes out of Latin America, but it's also in the socialist movement, anarchists can often be characterized by stereotypes that come from Marxists, and that in the libertarian and anarchist movement, any kind of mass anarchism, any kind of class struggle anarchism can also be characterized by, individualists and insurrectionists. And so we mean to, not convert people to a certain current of anarchism. We see this as a kind of grouping of tendency. So all the participants come from different ideologies. This is just a reading group. So you got to apply this stuff, outside of this. This isn't some kind of be all end all solution. We're not, educationalists thinking that this is going to be the first step in some process that we're just already on. But at the same time, we think that educational space needs to be defended. That's why this is the third militant kindergarten. So maybe I'll let Reed talk about some of the ones and how we've gotten here. Kindergarten up to now.
Yeah, sure. I think that's a good explanation. The group basically started off in the wonderful, amazing, complicated year 2020. In the wake of the uprising over the summer, both of us live in a relatively small town with maybe an outsized punches above its weight in terms of like activism and anarchism. There's probably more anarchist tendencies here than there are anarchists. And something that we saw in the wake of the height of the uprisings was, one, a huge amount of burnout that people weren't really addressing. The solution to burnout that we saw being proposed was just do it again, more, harder. And we also saw the burnout as kind of coming from a lack of strategy and organization on the ground. People sort of repeating tactics because that's what you do and that's what we were doing, so we're just going to try to keep doing it. And both of us were unable to participate in the more aggressive street actions that were going on at the time. So we decided we individually needed to study and get better at our understanding of strategy and organization and try to rethink like some of the problems that had occurred and how to move on from there. And also to provide a space for people who were more active in different places, the chance to meet together and reflect in a non-urgent space where you could just like pause and learn and discuss a topic. So we were both kind of simultaneously interested in the Especifismo current from Latin America. And so we both just kind of decided, we want to read some of these texts. And we quickly came upon social anarchism and organization. And we thought like, wow, this is a really comprehensive introduction, not only to this tendency, but also to anarchism and social anarchism broadly. Like it really covers just the basic anarchist principles and theory up to history and organizational theory, strategy, tactics, ideology, in a much higher, more sophisticated and modernized way than many other previous documents we'd read. It's like if you took the platform, the Machnevist platform.
We should explain what that is, because I think a lot of people are not going to. Yeah. Okay.
Going back. So it's the organizational platform of the Anarchist Federation of Rio de Janeiro, which is basically their foundational document. And it's a very comprehensive look at the kind of theory and strategy and work that goes on behind founding an organization like that. It's similar to the anarchist platform written by the Machnevists in exile in Paris, the Ukrainian anarchists in exile after the revolution in Russia. They wrote this platform saying anarchists should maybe be somewhat organized and unified in their tactics and their strategies, and received a whole bunch of pushback from it, but founded the platformist current of anarchism. But really, when you go back to the platform, there's not a ton there. It's more of a document for organizing a military force in a already ongoing revolution. Whereas what we found in social anarchism and organization is it's a much more broad kind of introduction to social anarchist organization that is more widely applicable to a variety of situations.
Yeah. And, okay, so we've covered Especifismo on here with Andrew once. I think we've talked about it a little bit in some other episodes, but yeah, do we want to get into what about Especifismo is sort of different from older kinds of well, just like other anarchist tendencies and other sort of kinds of platformism, and talk a little bit about how it sort of came about, because it's one of the tendencies, I guess, that some people adopted in the US, but I don't think it's as famous as a lot of other tendencies here.
Yes, so a lot of the motivation behind organizing the Center for Especifismo Studies, this came after us studying this text a few times locally. We decided to formalize this into Militant Kindergarten, and a lot of that came from the need to articulate what is Especifismo in English, because a lot of the resources, a lot of the ideas and writings come from Latin America, and so they're written in Spanish. A lot of the theory has been developed in Spanish. Especifismo originally comes from the Anarchist Federation of Uruguay. In the 1960s, they began to articulate a kind of organizational strategy that imagined what the way we've described it is kind of two rails for a train. And this train is bringing this revolutionary rupture. So these two rails are the social level, which includes all kinds of class struggle. This is class struggle against domination, exploitation, and oppression. And that the other rail is the political organization. And so this is the anarchist principles and ideologies that, I think we share probably pretty broadly with most all anarchist currents, at least, coming out of the socialist movement. But when it comes to the way to balance these and to keep them both working toward the same ends, we see a need to keep them theoretically distinct. And so a lot of what we've done at the Center for Especifismo Studies is try to articulate these ideas in English so that we can start to develop what that means here, and not just sort of translate or take a translation and sort of try to input an idea into our own context. So, like you said, I think that some of the we could take, for example, the Black Rose Rosa Negra Anarchist Federation in the U.S. That's the largest organization of especifist anarchists in North America. They are distinctly influenced by this current. They have sister organizations in Latin America, and but they're just one kind of organization that's kind of known on a national level. And as far as planting its ideas in North America, we're definitely still doing that work. So a lot of what we've done is also develop secondary resources. This includes audio versions of this text, but also things we've produced through our study and through these discussions that come out of kindergarten. So last year, for example, we made a mini zine. There was a kind of working group that worked on a mini zine to define some basic terms and make something really, really, really basic and introductory to Especifismo. We also, I've written a few pamphlets, one of which is how do you say Especifismo in English? And so that is, exactly trying to address this idea. And, some people, they hear Especifismo and they're like, oh, that's, exotic and cool and new. And that's a reason to be attracted to it. But then, other people might hear that and they have kind of other reactions where they sort of try to put it into a really specific box. I mean, what our understanding is that it's important to be able to acknowledge what current you're kind of plugging into, where your ideas are coming from. It takes a lot of pressure off of us to not feel like we're inventing everything and we're supposed to be coming up with the most perfect, cool ideas. But it's also a humbling experience of we know about this because other people have done this militancy before us, to make these things available for us, to have preserved these ideas. That's the political level of the two rails, right? So that is preserving this so that it is possible to say, I have this opinion about a specifismo and it relates to my context in this way, or likewise that it doesn't. You know, if we don't have anyone doing that militancy to preserve those ideas, then it's actually not even up to people to be able to pick them up and use them the way that they see fit.
One of the sort of barriers is, I think, kind of what you were alluding to of like the specifismo as a tendency in the US is that it wasn't developed in the American context. And that has different sort of, you know, that has sort of like a range of different effects. And one of the things that I think is very interesting about it, that I think is definitely a product of the context that it was developed in, is the strategy of social insertion. And I was wondering if you could talk a bit about social insertion and how you see that working in the US, and how sort of like how do we think about this sort of in the wake of 2020 and the kind of restructuring of what is sort of happening inside of social movements in the US?
Yeah, I think the 2020 lesson is very important for thinking about social insertion. For anyone who doesn't know, it's just the practice of anarchists who are organized in the same organization being present in social movements within them, supporting them, trying to help them achieve their own goals, rather than take them over, or something like you would see in maybe a entryism from Trotskyists or something. But yeah, I think one of the major problems that we ran into when we started reading this stuff is like social insertion requires there to even be social movements.
Yeah, and that was an issue in the US for a long time, because we didn't really have social movements in the way that like Latin America does.
Right. Or when we do, they're like extremely spontaneous or kind of chaotic, or they could be extremely co-opted or managed by a political party, Democrats, some socialist group, Republicans, whoever. And so that's kind of one of our major sort of projects of theoretical translation into North America. Is you can't just plug this into North America and say, okay, we're going to go join X social movement to achieve these goals and obtain this amount of influence there. We really have to start. I think what is useful about that problem is that it forces us to start really trying to theorize what actually is happening here, what social movement actually is there. And that leads us to start thinking about things more literally, like movement. What does it mean to be moving? What is the role of anarchists in movement? So we can think of an idea that we've developed is the idea of anarchists who are organized as anarchists. The role of them in movement is to actually literally be moving between different kinds of spaces, different movements, and starting through their movement to generate a kind of flow of people and of ideas and energy and momentum, acting as a small motor within a big system, if you will, not driving it, but getting things going. And so I think that's kind of more the level that we're at here in the US, is we still need to just theorize what is out there and how can we help it? How can we plug into it? How can we start getting things moving in a direction that is actually going to meet the needs of these movements, or these movements that aren't yet articulated well? You know, you see this with like the rise of tenant unions and tenant organizing, still in a very like nascent stage, but people are seeing that need and they're starting to get that moving from a variety of socialist tendencies. And I think, yeah, the idea is important in this context because we have to be finding these spaces, we have to be moving to them, and we have to be returning to our own spaces to be able to actually understand what we're encountering out there and figure out how to adjust course or move to something else or adapt to a new situation.
Yeah, like maybe similar to Reed said there, this idea that the politics need to be moving, that anarchism needs to be a movement, and that in that way, like we can't allow our ideas to be stuck in certain, just stations or organizations or spaces that are friendly or that we're really familiar with. We need to be able to engage those ideas in the relevant spaces where we do live. That looks really different in different parts across the US and North America. So the idea that, we would be able to just simply take one thing and apply it across the board would also be really limited here. And so I think a lot of what we've seen in terms of the utility of especifismo as an influential current in the politics, in leftist politics in North America, is this theoretical aspect, and how we can see both, we learn more about social movements, more about the necessity of them being popular, more about popular power. And at the same time, as in doing that, that shows us more about what is political unity, what is unity of strategy, what is unity of theory, what is unity of commitment. And that those things we want to, as we keep learning about them individually, that goes back to this train idea of there being two rails, is we need them to be on independent cycles. We know that social movements don't last forever, that mobilizations and insurrections will fade away, that there are ebbs and flows of the engagement, and that when we're talking about a massive popular level, we should expect that even more, right? Plenty of people will only, even if they're engaging militantly, only be engaging militantly with social movements, not with political ideas, not with political organization. And so the idea that something needs to endure, someone even needs to be able to tell the story from the last time that things got spicy so that we understand even what happened, without even necessarily having the critique or the analysis. Even just simply the retelling is something that is grossly missing from our struggles in North America. And so that's where we see there being a complete absence of political organizing, and especially when we think about being on a entirely different cycle. So that kind of goes back to kindergarten being an annual thing. And, where we live, in the winter, there's not a lot you can do. And so it kind of made sense to develop a seasonal pattern of this, right? Where exactly as things are dying down, it's kind of the people who do still have capacity, the people who are still attempting to be active, how can we keep that little bit of movement moving and going? The idea of the metaphor of a small engine, a small motor, is often used in especifismo. And that's what the political level is trying to be, is a small motor, just assisting in something larger that's happening, but it needs to be connected to something larger that's happening.
Yeah, and I think a key part of this for us that we've found is that in our context, there exists sort of these two levels to some extent. There are political organizations and there are social movements. But what is often missing, we were struggling with this, trying to find the way into one or the other. And what we discovered is that this kind of educational tendency of really open, really educational, really discussion-based learning kind of starts to generate that movement between the two. By having this space open to beginners and experts, so to speak, you're able to actually get more movement opened between the two. So it opens up political organizations to people who have not participated in that before or don't have a way into it. And it opens up social movements to people who may be politicized but are not organized in some sort of social movement. And it starts to mix everything together in this learning space where we can build trust as a learning community and assist each other in connecting these kind of two necessary levels of organization.
I've been thinking a lot about how you were talking about how we don't have any kind of organizational continuity between movements and the kind of disorganization and the loss of just memory that happens with that. And I think it's one of these weird things because you can find people who've been in like all of these movements, but if you're relying on just, you know, okay, well, you can get the story of what really happened in Occupy Oakland if you know exactly like the right 4 people, and you can't say their names because like you know, and this has always sort of been a problem with parts of social movements, because I mean there's stuff that necessarily has to be clandestine, like, you know, and there's reasons for operational security, but it also just means the stuff gets lost. And yeah, I think having a thing that goes as a way to transmit, thing that goes, wow, incredibly technical language, you know, but having an organization that can act as a bridge between these sort of moments and also is able to sort of, you know, allow people spaces for discussion, for reflection, for learning, that's also sort of a bridge between like I don't know, I guess like capital P political organization and the social stuff is a really interesting idea. And yeah, I think this is a very cool project, and yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what else comes out of it as the new session sort of approaches.
Yeah, I think what you're just saying about like how do you learn about what happened at Occupy Oakland without having to go through like 3 layers of signal chats or something to find the right person to learn from anonymously. Everything is prefaced with allegedly this happened, is a real problem that we've thought about. Like, I think a big thing for us that we've found is a role that we can play is that there is a need out there for there to be some sort of, we call it mask off anarchism. Like, there needs to be a public facing, approachable space where you can actually just learn about stuff. And yeah, there is definitely a need for operational security culture or for clandestine things, but that those things don't need to be everything. For those to even exist, you need levels that are more open to people. Otherwise, those things just become increasingly lost. They go down the memory hole, as they say, or the Latin American groups like to talk about anarchism becoming ghettoized further and further, like separated from mainstream society, and there's no ways in unless you know a guy. And so that was a problem we were encountering, and something that, like, from our particular circumstances, we felt like we could provide and maybe start modeling for people as a group.
I think also, like you mentioned there, like this idea of memory and what Black Rose has referred to in their program as muscle memory, like for our organizations. This idea that, like, I mean, organizing seems so mysterious to us because we don't have this like kind of active, like living memory of how to do that. It's not just a thing we do by second nature, or like without really needing a lot of work. And so I think in that sense, like we could also think of there being two kinds of struggles going on, where like on the social level, the struggle is the class struggle, and the antagonists are the dominant people in society. It is the ruling class. It is the status quo. It is the capitalist system. But on the political level, there's also struggle, because it's not about everybody, just being one uniform block. It is about that struggle, though, not being trying to topple each other, but instead trying to develop and create unity. It's not find unity. It's not look for the people you have the most consensus with, because that in itself is even really limiting. That we need to be able to form new agreement. We need to be able to find and struggle for that unity with people who aren't trying to just aim for a divisive end. That there needs to be an antagonist on the social level, but on the political level, the goal is unity. It's not struggle for the sake of taking down the opponent. And so in that sense, like something else that we do in in Militant Kindergarten and in the Center for Especificismo Studies is not just try to do a reading, but try to produce a reading, try to leave behind some kind of trace of our reading. That's an important aspect of this. So all of our sessions, we take thorough notes, and those notes are available to all the participants. People can go back through it later to look at what was said if they missed a session, or if they'd like to follow along with those as the conversation goes, to help add other aspects of support. Then what we do is we have a whole other team that goes through those notes afterward and produces a kind of internal journalistic write-up of what happened in that meeting. And so we will also be releasing those this year as part of our kind of monthly publishing that we'll be doing.
So for people who are interested in this, when is it happening and how do you get involved?
It starts on January 13th and it runs till April 20th of next year, 2024. And we're going to be holding the sessions on Saturdays, 2 to 4 p.m. in Pacific time, US, which is not the greatest time for everybody, but it's where most of us are based, kind of on the edge of time here on the West Coast. And the best way to get involved is to just send us an email. We have the email, especificismostudies@gmail.com. And that's the way to sort of start the enrolling process. You just need to take the one step, send us an email, and we'll get you signed up and all the materials and Zoom link and all that stuff.
Yeah, and we'll put the email in the description. Yeah, probably links to the website too. I think on that note, unless you two have anything else that you want to say or plug?
No, I think that's it.
Yeah, good for us. I would like to see people there. It's going to be an interesting year. I can guarantee that.
Yeah,
like the literal year 2024. Who knows what's going to happen? And even kindergarten is going to be pretty interesting. We've had a lot more people contacting us than last year, so it's going to be a pretty big and diverse group. So it'll be interesting to see kind of what everybody's able to produce out of that gathering and learning space.
Yeah, maybe another thing just to say real quick is just that even if somebody doesn't feel like they could make that time, it's still worth reaching out to us. We, will be developing other seminars and things in the future. And if you don't think that you'd be able to make it to all the sessions, don't worry about that either. That's part of why we do this every year, is that we expect that, working people without a lot of time will need more than 1 year to, get all this information. So we expect people to need to kind of be cobbling together a few sessions here and there for several times. And yeah, you're definitely welcome to do that, and shouldn't feel as if it's like a kind of start and then you're stuck and afraid to start. So yeah.
Yeah, it's sort of an endurance study group. So we don't want anyone burning themselves out. Just do what you can, start together, end together.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be a great program, and yeah, excited to see what comes out of it. And yeah, if you want to get your theoretical stuff in before fighting season presumably starts again around the election, now is the time. It's going to be really chaotic for the next long time. So this is your opportunity now.
Yeah, we'll need some good ideas to arm ourselves with. This one, it's going to be rough.
Yep. And yeah, on that note, this has been Naked Happened Here. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at Full Sun Media, etc., etc. Go into the world and learn, and then use that to make the world less god awful.
Honestly, no one wants to think about HIV, but there are things that everyone can do to help prevent it. Things like PrEP,
PrEP stands for pre-exposure prophylaxis, and it means routinely taking prescription medicine before you're exposed to HIV to help reduce your chances of getting it. PrEP can be about 99% effective when taken as prescribed. It doesn't protect against other STIs, though, so be sure to use condoms and other healthy sex practices. Ask a healthcare provider about all your prevention options, and visit findoutaboutprep.com to learn more. Sponsored by Gilead.
Sink into affordable luxury. Anabay is the only machine-washable sofa, inside and out. With stain-resistant slip covers and a cloud-like frame duvet, everything goes right in the wash. Plus, the modular design lets you change the look of your space anytime. Visit WashableSofas.com to upgrade your home. Shop up to 60% off site-wide, with sofas starting at just $699 and a 30-day money-back guarantee. Shop now at WashableSofas.com. Offers are subject to change, and certain restrictions may apply.
The new Chicken Bacon Ranch Street Chalupas at Taco Bell. You can't get just one. Okay, so that's not like some marketing hyperbole. You literally can't get just one. They come in twos. So like, if you want just one, you're going to need to find a friend who loves slow roasted chicken, bacon, and avocado ranch sauce. Or a friend of a friend, or have an awkward conversation with a complete stranger to see if they're obsessed with chicken, bacon, and avocado ranch. Or you could just like eat them both because you're obsessed with slow roasted chicken, bacon. Okay, you get the idea. The new Chicken Bacon Ranch Street Chalupas at Taco Bell. At participating Taco Bell U.S. locations for a limited time while supplies last.
It's another Chicago episode. It Could Happen Here, the podcast where things fall apart. I'm your host, Mia Wong. This is another episode about Chicago Police Department, who occupy a city groaning under its tyranny. And with me to talk about some absolutely batshit Chicago police stuff, and also how Brandon Johnson, our mayor, is also shit, is Raven, a Chicago journalist from Jinx Press.
Hi. Is our mayor ever not shit?
You know, no. It's always shit. It's never not bad.
It's never not bad. And it's always like, you know, the progressive darling who ran on promises and then slowly breaks them and, you know, breaks everyone's hearts over time.
Yeah, I will say Brandon Johnson wasted absolutely no time on the heartbreaking part. Like he really just wanted to rush that shit out. And so there's a lot of Brandon Johnson stuff that we could talk about, and we will eventually we're going to do the episode on the migrant camp and the fucking the migrant camp and the toxic waste dump. But that's going to happen next year. Right now, we want to talk about a different utterly insane Chicago thing. Well, this is actually a thing in other cities too. I wanted to talk about ShotSpotter. So I guess to start with, can you explain what ShotSpotter is for people who don't have it in their city or don't know?
Well, it's in, I want to say, like 130 different cities across the country. So a lot of people probably do have it, but it's a gunshot detection system. So basically just, you know, through bunch of fancy tech stuff, which we won't get into, and I'm not even going to pretend to understand, you know, that side of it. There are these audio sensors that are installed all around the city, right? And in predominantly Black and brown neighborhoods, you know, they're specifically in Chicago. There's actually a lawsuit currently up and coming filed by the MacArthur Justice Center over the fact that they are primarily installed in Black and brown neighborhoods and not on like the north side. And yeah, it's just a bunch of fancy little stuff that detects noises that are supposed to be gunshots, right? So any loud popping or banging sound, you know, could potentially set them off.
Yeah, and unfortunately, as anyone who's ever been in a city and had a car backfire knows, people are just indescribably dog shit at telling what is a gunshot and what is not a gunshot.
Exactly. And I mean, there's so much evidence too. Like there've been, I mean, here in Chicago, like our office of the Inspector General wrote like a whole report about all of ShotSpotter's failures, but there's a bunch of other research out there across the country about how inaccurate this is. And, you know, it's generating tens of thousands of also like unjustified CPD deployments, like because when the alert goes off, the cops get deployed. And It doesn't tell you anything about, even if there was a gunshot, like who fired a gun. All it's telling you is in this area, this was determined. So you can imagine like all of these, police encounters happening in response to these alerts, like all the shit that could go wrong.
Yeah, and it's CPD, right? Like the Chicago Police Department's motto is shoot first, don't ask questions later. So
right.
This is an absolutely terrible idea. It's just sending all of these cops on random wild goose chases.
Yeah. Well, and it's what happened with, most people probably remember the Adam Toledo shooting. Those cops, were initially assigned to patrol that area because it was designated as a violence box, and ShotSpotter brought them to the alley, like where this 13-year-old kid was, shot and killed by police because an older man was with him and fired a gun and then handed him the weapon.
Yeah, and that's another one of the problems with this technology, which is that even if it does detect a gunshot, the thing that detecting a gunshot does and send it to the police is send a bunch of like absolutely unhinged murderers to a place and like make them incredibly paranoid and then, have them in like deal with the situation mode. And what Chicago cops do when they're in deal with the situation mode is they take out a gun, they shoot a 13-year-old and kill them.
Yeah. And the officer that shot him too had this is like rarely talked about in the media. I think, I don't know. It just wasn't something that came up much when that was all happening. But like that officer had a weird incident that was recorded on body cam, like a little bit before he shot and killed Adam Toledo. I don't remember if it was like months before. I don't know the timeline, but it was fairly close to that, where he like pulled someone over at a traffic stop and was just acting really jumpy and strange. And it was kind of investigated as like, an unjustified traffic stop. And nothing happened with that, but it's just an example of kind of like how there were potentially warning signs, because this guy was also like a war veteran, and jumpy to begin with. And so, yeah, you're sending these guys into these areas who are already ready to go off at a trigger, right?
Yeah, and there's no actual good outcome of this, because like I guess arguably the best possible outcome is the cops show up, there's nobody there, and it turns out to have been a false alarm, but that means we're paying the cops an unbelievable amount of money to do nothing, and that's the best outcome.
Right. And the way the alerts work also too is like, unless the police file a complaint that an alert was false, like a false alarm, it's automatically flagged in the system as like a positive, because there's all this algorithmic stuff that happens like with the ShotSpotter detection, where like, yeah, the system detects it, but then also it goes to like their whole systems, like researchers or whatever, to kind of put it all together and like package a report about what happened. And so unless the police complain and are like, oh, this one was false, or this one was wrong, this was a firework, this was a car backfiring. And of course, like CPD is not doing that.
Yeah, because I mean, this is one of the problems with the system, just inherently. Even if you think that on some level this technology could work, is that both the company ShotSpotter and the police have an enormous inherent incentive to make like at very least pretend that every single one of these detections is real. Because if you're a police officer, right, and you can point at, oh, hey, look at how many shots are being fired around the city all the time, you need to give us more funding. This is incredibly useful for them. If you're ShotSpotter, you don't want everyone to know that your system detects like a bird dropping an acorn out of a tree next to your sensor or whatever. Like, you don't actually want people to know that your system brings up false positives all the time and is actually basically completely useless.
Right.
Yeah, and so the incentive structure is just bad. It's only going to produce bad results.
Yeah, well, and it's kind of like I forget where I read this, but somebody likened it to if you had an informant working for you and they were wrong 9 times out of 10, would you still use them?
Well, CPD would. Like, to be fair.
CPD would. To be fair. But like if you were a journalist and you had a source that lied 9 times out of 10, or was wrong 9 times out of 10, would you call them back? Would you trust that source?
Well, and the other thing too is it's not even just like this is an informant, right? Because, ShotSpotter's wrong an enormous percentage of the time. But the thing is, you don't have to pay informants $8 million a year, which is what we're paying for this dog shit ShotSpotter system.
Yeah, well, and I mean, the company itself also, like, they're so embedded with what's going on, like, with police departments. Their ShotSpotter is leveraging their own money to try to, like, win police contracts that include ShotSpotter. They advise different police departments on how to respond to requests about ShotSpotter. So it's like, it's not just like this I don't know, this neutral tool that's just like out there that they're just using. It's like ShotSpotter has this vested interest in strengthening the police and vice versa.
Yeah, and it gets into one of these very, very, I mean, it's a very common thing for the cops, right? But one of these unbelievably messed up spirals where, like, yeah, like everyone involved has, the cops want more power. These guys want more money, and the more money you give them, the more money they have to then turn around again and put back into the political system to continue buying more power, which they can again turn into more money every single time another contract comes up.
Right. And which they just did. Brandon Johnson just gave them more money in their contract.
Yeah, and we should talk about this because, okay, so Brandon Johnson ran a weird campaign in respect to the police in the sense that he didn't really run an anti-police campaign, I guess. Like, his campaign was pretty pro-police, but it also originally had things like taking cops out of schools. And very specifically, he ran on canceling the ShotSpotter contract, which is a thing that everyone in, like, people in Chicago who don't live in, like, cop neighborhoods, basically, like, it's pretty popular to cancel this contract because it's millions of dollars a year going to nonsense that just throws cops everywhere. And then he got into office and his budget still has the ShotSpotter shit in it. So, electoralism win. Yay.
Yeah, I mean, it was an explicit campaign promise. Like, it wasn't just like, oh, we were hoping that he would do this because he's like our big movement guy. It was like he explicitly made it part of his platform was ending the contract with ShotSpotter. And now he is not. And there's some time left before the budget hearing. I think it's like, I don't know, like 55 days. I might be off by a few days there. But there's only around, 2 months left. And since he's been elected, so like the other thing, I mean, this is like the shady part too, is like, since he's been elected, he's been asked whether he'll extend the contract and he's just like refused to answer.
Which is some really great politician stuff. Like, your politicians being completely normal and nothing, everything is above board when they just straight up refuse to answer questions. Only good things ever result from that.
Yeah, and there's been like a lot of similar sort of just like I don't know, lack of transparency kind of incidents with him over the last however long it's been since he's been elected. God, it's been a long year. It's kind of like there's this pattern now. So yeah, I mean, there were people who kind of look. He was never like the abolitionist, like, I'm going to abolish the police mayor. And like, I get that. I think a lot of people get that. But there's a pretty big departure kind of between how he's approaching policing and what, a lot of movement people or leftists or abolitionists want. Every encounter with a cop is a potential for violence, right? And he's coming at it more from the side of like, well, we just need to rebuild trust in the police. And the community just needs to, like, we're just going to rebuild trust and we're going to get these bad cops out. We're going to have only good cops left. And then everything, I don't know what the logic there is personally, but the logic is that we'll just have good police encounters then. And it's just like this refusal to acknowledge that like policing itself is the problem.
Yeah, I mean, we are on year 50 of the mayor says we need to restore trust in the police. We'll get rid of the bad cops and everything. Like year 50, we are on what number of torture scandals are we on since people first started saying this? Like it's just
right. We shouldn't be laughing at torture, but it's like, yeah, it's like every month there is a new Chicago police scandal. I literally cannot keep track.
Yeah, and okay, so we're going to talk about one of those scandals, but first we're gonna talk about ads. I was gonna do like a you know what else is a scandal, but I don't know, it's really late. I've been up for an outrageous number of hours, and we are back. So okay, speaking of Chicago police scandals, there's a lot. I mean, the CPD is always having scandals because Chicago cops are just evil. But yeah, do you want to talk about the specific ShotSpotter one that we're having right now?
Yeah, I mean, well, there are other Chicago police ShotSpotter scandals, but no, this most recent story, you know, that just came out. There's a political journalism site / blog. They're also our homies. We've done a lot of work with them, called People's Fabric, and they wrote, you know, an analysis of some videos that they obtained of what is like essentially a CPD gang. I mean, everybody's heard of like the LAPD gangs. Well, not everybody, but I'm sure a lot of listeners have followed the story out of LA with like the sheriff's deputies gangs, just roaming around and committing horrible acts against people, and you know, in these sort of like crews of bad cops, and this is definitely not the first instance of something like that happening in Chicago, but you know, there was a lot of video evidence against these guys. One of them's been indicted. I don't know if the other 3 have. But yeah, they were just driving around, basically terrorizing this community, you know, a lot of just unlawful stops, stopping people on the street, shaking them down for cash, drugs, and a lot of guns. And they were filing false reports about found guns. So like they would stop somebody, take their gun, and then log it as like a gun that was found. And, you know, in one instance, they said that they were a mile away from where a ShotSpotter alert had gone off, and claimed that they looked around and just happened to find a gun on the ground. They had taken the gun from a woman, you know, they didn't find it on the ground, but they were able to use the fact that there was a ShotSpotter alert that went off in that area as like a way to cover their tracks, basically.
Yeah, and this is something, so we talked about on the show, like, oh God, was that like 2 years ago? Maybe it was a year ago. A while back, we talked about on this show, the Chicago's used to have this police unit called Special Operations Section, SOS, which was disbanded after it was revealed they were doing literally the same thing, which is they would go up to people and just rob them. And Chicago has one of these scandals about once a decade. There's like a big one of these, and we're kind of due for one. We haven't had a really big one of these specifically. There's an entire section of the CPD that's just a burglary or a drug ring. So I suspect we're going to find out more about this stuff, because it's about time that another one of these turns up. But yeah, I mean, they were just rolling up on people, just going, "Give me your gun," and then driving away and saying, "Don't tell anyone," which is really
really, yeah. Well, and like also for seemingly no reason in like some instances, like we can't know all of their motivations for everything, and a lot more is going to come out, I'm sure, like in the court proceedings. But it's like, were they trying to pad the gun retrieval statistics, or were they trying to do something else? You know, they were like a tactical team, so I think it's the case that like there are certain gun retrieval statistics that CPD wants to make, but the other stuff, like obviously taking cash from people, like there's other things they were doing, and there've always been, I'm not going to allege anything that isn't proven in this specific instance, but I will say that there have always been rumors about Chicago police officers specifically taking things like guns to like sell back, to gangs basically. And same with drugs, right? These guys were logging some of them at least, but what if there were ones that they weren't logging? Like, we don't know. I mean, this is just what we know happened and what was caught. And I mean, they were dumb enough to like have some of this caught on their body cams. It's like they were turning their cameras off for like some parts of these stops, but like not others. Or like the camera would be on and there's like, cash and drugs, and then like, oh, the camera goes off. And it's like, well, any logical person can deduce what may have happened here. Like, why are you turning your camera off, right? And so, yeah, there have always been rumors about kind of like what these crews driving around are like ultimately doing with this kind of stuff. And I think it varies depending on them. But I would also add, what you mentioned, the special operations section, we only recently learned there was like a Sun-Times investigation into all the Chicago cops who were on the Oath Keepers membership roll.
Oh.
And a number of those guys were in SOS, actually. So that's a fun little fact also.
Yeah, that's another another episode in the endless parade of Chicago Police Department scandals. Like, a bunch of these are in far-right militias, which is it's this really interesting. So we did an episode pretty recently that was talking about David Graeber. One of the points that he makes in this essay on Batman and the problem of constituent power, which is a wild thing to be citing in a police thing. But one of the points that he makes is one of the sort of key like fascist convergences is this cooperation between the police, the far right, and organized crime. And the CPD is this incredible nexus of it, right? I mean, it's literally the same person is all three of these things at the same time. It is a cop who is in a far-right militia who is also like literally just doing organized crime at the same time. That's really...
Yeah.
You used to have to sort of like make metaphors, and you no longer have to do that. The metaphor just is real. You're just physically describing the event. It's really something.
Yeah. I mean, I when you really think about it, I think policing in and of itself is just like a cult like anything else. And it makes sense that like the same people who would gravitate towards like militia groups and like white supremacist groups, any like, I don't know, group where people kind of have those like hardline beliefs about the world. And then it's also just like a lot of these guys are like, especially the ones on like tactical teams, they're all like fucking like traumatized war veterans. They all have kind of these long backstories of like military service and just like to get onto like special ops or like a tactical unit, et cetera. They tend to look for people with military experience, not always, but like frequently. And so there's also that intersection there too of like militarism and abroad and then like policing at home, right?
Yeah, and that's a really common thread. I mean, just in like across the entire world, this is a thing where like the police like the police groups that are the most likely to go completely rogue and either just start murdering people randomly or turn into organized crime things like are these special operations units. There was like in 2020 there were these huge protests, like anti-police protests in Nigeria that were specifically about trying to get one of these special operations, like police special operation things, like abolished because the special operations guys just kept shooting everyone. And this, like every single, like this happens just everywhere in the world. Is that it is like, I mean, like, obviously normal cops also do crime. And we talked also in another episode about some kind of normal cops who did a cartel in like the 2010s. But the special operations groups go off the rails at a rate that is staggering, which you would think someone in government would look at this. Like even if you're a pro police person, you would look at this and go, wait, maybe it's a bad idea to have specifically form these units that every single time turn into a cartel. But no, they never do this because the point of cops is not to not form cartels.
Well, I think also too, there's like a very, I don't know, I guess neoliberal sort of line of thinking about like policing and how like we really, really need like the tactical, high skill kind of units, right? Like there's always like we're always giving the cops more money, and that's for training. Training is a big justification for why we're always giving them more money, but so is like, you know, skills and sort of technology. And like, I think as we're dealing with, I don't know, like mass shootings and like all of this really horrible stuff just like going on around us at all times too now, it's like, it's a really, I think, easy way to justify policing to people is like under the guise of these like tactical units or units with like a lot of firepower to deal with like the really, really bad guys, quote, right? Like, you know, maybe those people might be like, oh, we'd like fewer cops patrolling our neighborhoods, you know, we get like, you know, Black Lives Matter or whatever, but they're like, but we really need to, you know, have the big guns ready for when something bad comes to our neighborhood. And so I think that's also like a sticking point for a lot of people on the way to like actually thinking about abolishing the police too, is like, what would we do without these units of guys with like all these skills and all these crazy weapons to like help us if a bad guy comes? And of course the bad guys are those guys. Like it's the same guys.
Well, and there's the more cynical side of it too, which is like, you know, if you're the mayor of Chicago, it's like, well, someone has to shoot the Black Panthers, right? Like you need to have guys whose job it is to like when like revolutionary movements start up, you need like someone has to start shooting those guys. So
yeah.
So I want to go back to talk a bit more about the like ShotSpotter and the budget stuff that's been happening, because so the current budget has, what is it? I think it like doubles the annual raises of that cops were getting. Is that the right number?
I don't know if it doubles, but I read that it was actually, wait. Yeah, so it's 5% up from like 2.5. So yeah, it's doubled. It's also the largest package of raises for any city employee union in modern history. I mean, I'm directly quoting a Better Government Analysis, but yeah, no, like literally, it is an enormous raise. And here's the thing: the cops were thrilled with this contract. The head of FOP, John Catanzara, who is just like a racist, misogynistic, horrible, just like garbage dump of a person, you know, was thrilled with this contract, was thrilled with this being passed, you know. And that's like number one sign that your mayor sucks is when like the cops are thrilled about something he did. Like, so yeah, I mean, it's a huge amount of money. There's a bunch of other stuff in it, like, you know, salary grade changes and like stipends for stuff and bonuses, and there's some changes to like the body worn camera policy too, which are kind of concerning. But ultimately it's like, yeah, Brandon Johnson is now the fund the police mayor. Like, I don't know how you can say that he's not when you look at this. Like, this is just handing the cops more money.
Yeah, and Chicago cops are already just unbelievably dog shit overpaid. Chicago teachers are unbelievably underpaid. Yeah, so, you know, I mean, we are once again paying a bunch of people to rob us. It's really, it's good stuff.
Yeah, and they get a lot of time off too. I mean, look, they have a ton of benefits. There's a ton of you know, privileges and things that the cops get, but it's kind of like he could have given them slightly less money. Like it was almost, this contract almost feels like, the way I've seen some people describe it is it almost feels like an act of like goodwill towards the cops. Like an almost like I'm giving you this thing that you really want in the hopes of like, I don't know what he's trying to get out of it. I mean, I don't know what what the motivation is, but it's like you could have done less, and you're going for like a lot. So what's the deal there? And the new superintendent too is like hugely concerning. He picked a guy who's like an expert in surveilling communities ahead of like the DNC coming next summer. The former head of the Counterterrorism Bureau, like it's a lot of really disappointing moves. And I think a lot of people were really hoping to see, I guess, a more abolitionist kind of streak. But ultimately, it's like he ran as a liberal. Like, we knew this was coming, but there was like almost like taking advantage, I guess, of like movement groups to sort of get the power behind him during the campaign. But look, our alternative was also like an evil, like lying, maniacal Paul Vallis. So it's just like a shit sandwich. It's like bad choices all around, right?
Yeah, and I mean, that just is Chicago. I mean, it's just Illinois. Electoral politics in general is a choice between the guy who gives the police more money and the other guy who gives the police more money. So
yeah,
it's not good.
Exactly.
Again, it really seems like we're going to get more ShotSpotter of this technology that is wrong over 90% of the time. So it's great. It's really...
Well, there's a few months left. I mean, hopefully this is, I don't know, there's arguments to be made for and against harm reduction, I guess, and whether it's like a worthwhile goal, but maybe there's still like a shot at like at least getting this part scratched out. I mean, there is, like I said, like this big lawsuit. And if nothing else, perhaps he and his administration could be concerned about just like, the bad press around it, if it's included and so many people are opposing it. But this is also an administration that like didn't care about the bad press that came with like saying we're building a detention camp on polluted land. So
yeah, well, look, like this is the thing that the fight over the police budget is distracting from, which is that we need to find a second toxic waste dump to build the migrant concentration camp on. So progressive values are happening either way.
Look, I frequently said all mayors are bastards.
It's true.
Like corny, but I think it's fine. Look, it's fine to vote, I guess, if that is your thing. Just don't convince yourself that once you leave the voting booth that like the struggle is over. Because whatever happens, like this person, this authority figure in charge is your enemy. Like, it doesn't matter how nice he is. It doesn't matter how many jokes he cracks. Like, whatever you're trying to like resist or like liberate, like this person is going to stand in your way just by virtue of being the mayor. Like, it's baked into like what that is. So I think it's just a matter of being like clear-eyed about that rather than like convincing yourself that you can somehow like co-run the city like with the government.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna take a shot at a city on the other side of the world, but fuck it, I'm still mad about this. Okay, so the nominal best case scenario for this inside an electoral framework was when Barcelona en Comú, which is this sort of left-wing platform in Barcelona made of a bunch of ex-anarchists, managed to get a semi-stable majority on the city council, and then the first time they got their mayor elected. The first thing that fucking mayor did, like a week into office, was she knew where all the squats were in Barcelona, and the first thing she fucking did was she knew which immigrant squat didn't have enough community support behind them to stop them from getting evicted, and she had them evicted. So, this is what happens when you put activists in charge. They do a more efficient job of being the counterinsurgency. So...
Oh my God.
Yeah, this is what you're getting into.
Oh my God. Well, yeah, and I mean, then it also becomes like its own smoke screen, like just using the fact that like, oh, I was elected by activists or like I was elected by movement people. So like, I'm on your side. And just using it as like a shield against like every move and being like, well, I know this looks bad, but like, you guys know, like I'm your guy. Like I'm one of you. Like just trust me. Like we're doing this for the right reasons. It might look bad, but because I'm your guy, it's okay. I mean, it's the same thing with like fucking Biden and the border wall now.
I think ironically our episode on that is going to be the episode that comes out right before this. So oh wait, sorry, 2 episodes. Sorry, it'll be 2 episodes before. Yeah. Oh, and the 2 episodes after is also going to be border wall shit. So yeah, border wall bad. Fuck Biden for border wall.
Well, but it's like it's Biden's border wall. He's doing all this shit, and then it's just if it was Trump, we know what the response would be from supposed progressives.
Yeah, don't let people like put a coat of paint on a turd and hand it to you and be like, no, it's good. Actually, we don't have to do this.
Right. But I mean, also the border wall. God, do you remember there was a brief flash of time in October when Brandon Johnson and his team announced they were going to visit the border wall, and then it only lasted like 24 hours, 72 hours. I don't know when, but at some point then they like very quickly reversed the decision when they realized like how bad that would look. As we have like at that time, there were thousands of people in police, like thousands of migrants who had traveled here and staying on police station floors. And there was like, they were going to have this publicity stunt where we went to visit the border wall. And then they changed their minds about it. And we're like, oh yeah, this is probably a bad idea. Yeah. But it's become this like pilgrimage site. I mean, like I know AOC went there. It's like liberal politicians like go there to be like, oh, this is so terrible. And then they like, just kind of let Biden make it worse.
Yeah. So this has been, this has turned into the, liberal groups elected on big promises make your life worse episode. Well, this has been Naked Happen here. You could find us in the places. Where can people find you?
Just, on the Hell site, which I know you're back on now.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately. Yeah, we have jinxpress.org for site, and then Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff.
Yeah, so go check out the Jinx Press people. They do great work. And yeah, cops bad.
Cops bad. Cops always bad. Cops keep being bad.
Honestly,
no one wants to think about HIV, but there are things that everyone can do to help prevent it. Things like PrEP. PrEP stands for pre-exposure prophylaxis, and it means routinely taking prescription medicine before you're exposed to HIV to help reduce your chances of getting it. PrEP can be about 99% effective when taken as prescribed. It doesn't protect against other STIs though, so be sure to use condoms and other healthy sex practices. Ask a healthcare provider about all your prevention options, and visit findoutaboutprep.com to learn more. Sponsored by Gilead.
Tired of spills and stains on your sofa? Wash away your worries with Anabay. Anabay is the only machine washable sofa inside and out, where designer quality meets budget-friendly prices. That's right, sofas start at just $699. Enjoy a no-risk experience with pet-friendly, stain-resistant, and changeable slip covers made with performance fabric. Experience cloud-like comfort with high-resilience foam that's hypoallergenic and never needs fluffing. The sturdy steel frame ensures longevity, and the modular pieces can be rearranged anytime. Shop WashableSofas.com for up to 60% off site-wide, backed by a 30-day satisfaction guarantee. If you're not absolutely in love, send it back for a full refund. No return shipping or restocking fees. Every penny back. Upgrade now at WashableSofas.com. Offers are subject to change, and certain restrictions may apply.
For period protection you can put on and forget about, nothing beats Knix leak-proof underwear. North America's #1 leak-proof underwear brand. Let's face it, life can be unpredictable, but your leak-proof underwear shouldn't be. That's why millions of people choose Knix. For periods, for light leaks, for everyday freshness. Knix undies are super comfy, super absorbent, and made to handle whatever your day throws at you. Day 2 of your period? Covered. Your daily run? No problem. That big sneeze? You know the one. Yep, we've got you. And with styles like bikinis, boy shorts, thongs, and high-rise, plus sizes from extra small to 4XL, Knix makes it easy to find your perfect fit. Say goodbye to stress and leaks, and say hello to undies that work just as hard as you do, no matter the leak. Find the style and level of protection you want at Knix.com and use code FLOW15 for 15% off. That's KNIX.com, code FLOW15 for 15% off. Knix, for your leaks, for your life.
Hi everyone, it's James, and today I've got a two-part episode for you. Initially, I'd planned to have my friends Emmett and Dave talk to me about the shelters that we've all been building in Hecumba because the weather's getting worse and worse. But we were able to connect with Amos, who is one of the migrants who has spent time in outdoor detention, sadly, and then in indoor detention, as you'll hear. And I really wanted to sort of refocus this episode on sharing Amos's story because I think, as I've said countless times, right, that if we don't center migrants in our reporting about migration, then we're doing it wrong. And so you will hear introductions from Dave, and you will hear introductions from Emmett, and you'll hear a little bit from them next episode about how we're building the yurts. But we'll bring you that episode another time because I wanted this episode to be mostly about Amos's migration journey. Hello, everybody. It's me, James. I am hosting It Could Happen here today again. And I'm joined by my friends Amos and Emmett, and potentially later our friend David. We're going to talk today again about the situation in Hecumba. Amos is one of the people who was detained in the outdoor detention sites and is going to explain some of his experience. And then Emmett is someone who has been working with a group of people, including myself, to build shelters for migrants, to build slightly more permanent, slightly more improved shelters. Unfortunately, Border Patrol has taken upon themselves to instruct migrants to destroy those shelters. And so we're going to talk about how we built them, what we learned when we're building them, and unfortunately, the fact that they have been destroyed. So I'm going to ask my three guests to introduce themselves. David is here now, so we'll start with you, Amos, and then Emmett, and then David. Just tell us who you are and anything you think is relevant about yourselves, I guess.
Thank you for the invite. I appreciate the opportunity to add whatever I can to this very, very important subject. I happen to be, I call myself an accidental illegal immigrant, if you want to put it that way. Due to some family circumstances, I found myself following the new migratory road that has taken me through, I lost count, 10 or 12 countries, starting from North Africa all the way to the border with the United States. So that's me, and I would love nothing more but to add to this conversation.
Thank you, Amos.
Hi, my name is Emmett. I am a volunteer with Borderlands Relief Collective.
And then David, would you like to finish up by introducing yourself?
Hi, my name's David. I'm a volunteer with Borderlands Relief Collective, as well as Detention Resistance. I do water drops, and I've also been helping out as a volunteer in the Border Patrol open air detention sites, doing work as a medic and helping out building these shelters.
Great. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. So I think everyone will be interested in hearing Amos's story. So as far as you're comfortable sharing, Amos, and there's no need to share anything that you're not comfortable with or don't want to share, can you tell us about your journey from North Africa to the United States? And I think we'd be particularly interested in like how people are finding out about these big gaps in the wall that are in Hecumba, and how people are ending up there from all over the world now.
Right. Well, buckle up. It's a long journey, James. It's a long one. So for me personally, it started with sort of an accidental separation from my family, my wife and kids, for reasons, unfortunate reasons. Had to go back to the United States, and I was denied a visa to join them. They went initially to mourn the loss of a brother-in-law, and unfortunately, I was not able to get there by obtaining a visa to do so. So I spent 6-7 months arguing with the embassy. Was not given any legal reasoning for why my visa was denied. I've lived in the United States for over 16 years. I've had a clean criminal record with one arrest and release, and it was part of a protest that happened in Los Angeles, and we were released right away. And basically, I left in 2015 with, I'd like to think, with clean hands, no issues, and then going back to Tunisia, where I was with my new family. Anyhow, so basically, I was denied visa. I really wanted to do. I've never done anything illegal in my life. I wanted to do the legal route, following what's been always told, like, follow the legal route. Don't come illegally. So that was not even a question in my mind. The wife is American, the kids are American. I mean, it shouldn't be an issue. But I really was confronted with. I mean, I can safely say by now it's biased. It's got to be some racism just by deduction, really. Because when you run out of reasoning, you have to start making these sad conclusions. So yeah, so basically, again, that took me on a long and painful depression and anxiety and a cocktail of mental health issues that I'm still actually dealing with right now. And it took my two kids, my beautiful kids, through therapy, and they're still going through therapy. My wife is going through therapy. I'm going through therapy. It blew apart this family, and we're still trying to figure out why so much, nothing but can define it but hate, really. There's no other way of putting it. So, and again, the discussion with my friends in America has been very difficult because they have no understanding or concept of what the diplomatic corps is doing and what these embassies are doing, because there is no access to them by Americans. It's just usually foreigners who do. And that really creates like this black hole of tax money going to these embassies. And then what they're doing is just with a stroke of a pen, yes or no, no explanation. You can't sue, you can't appeal, you can't do. It's absolute power. And then I'm mentioning this the embassies because through my journey, through this long and painful journey, I've met time and time again other fellow immigrants who, again, tried to go through the legal route, were denied with no reason, with no written reason, no valid reason. So again, this discussion on and off again, and among American citizens as to why people are showing up in the border. Well, I mean, at least in part, what I see is no accountability whatsoever to the embassies. Like time and time again, you have these embassies denying people who are trying to do it the right way, trying to do it. They either have family or work or whatever, and they're denied time and time again. And then you have, in the hundreds of thousands going through that process. And of course, they try, and then eventually they have no choice. So I'm not saying this is the only explanation, but it's a big part of it. I've spoken for people who are crossing and who are on the way from anywhere from Brazil to Colombia to Ecuador to Panama to Nicaragua to Guatemala to Belize and Mexico. All across, I've come across so many people, And they, at least, my little humble math, I would say 50 to 60% have tried through embassies, but unfortunately, they just turned down. Yeah. So this is an issue that is not talked about. This is an issue they really get away with scot-free. They really don't. There's zero they are gods. The ambassador have zero accountability. He is absolutely. He has all the power and no accountability. Rarely you see ambassador being recalled by Congress. Rarely you see an ambassador being questioned. Hey, why are these visa demands being declined? What are you doing about it? All that stuff. So this is some of the stuff I want to add to the conversation because nobody has ever mentioned this. Nobody talks about this.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's very important. I think your experience is far from unique, as you've said, right? I have seen hundreds of people carrying visa rejection letters come across the southern border. They've shown them to me, right? They are people who have been victims of some of the worst things that can happen to human beings, and they've survived them, and we've still refused to give these people a safe place, so they've had to take their journey in a more dangerous way.
I didn't see a single brown person at the embassy. It's all white. Again, I hope you guys don't feel like I'm being I'm just being honest because I see it and I'm up to date on what people are talking about and all the discussions, and I see it almost of a level of a right-wing supremacy style, it just you feel it. It's there. You have to be a quote-unquote brown person or a minority person to feel it. I don't expect others to understand it, but we feel it. And this is a discussion I've had in detention with a lot of the fellow detainees. There is that sense. There's a sense that, we're being looked down at, not on our merits, but on, a little bit of, assumptions because of where you're from, assumptions, like you go in and it's already baked. And this is me. I've had a visa from the US for 16 years. It should be a slam dunk, so my two kids are American. My wife is American. We are, until today, are so confused as to why the denials happen. I've called Congress members, and David was with me today when I was at the Congress member Adam Schiff in Burbank, California. And we, even they don't have an answer as to why the denial happened. And then, to close my personal issue, James, it's interesting because I was told that perhaps you were illegally in the United States between 2013 and 2015. But they can't say for sure that was the reason. But in detention, when they did all the research on me, none of that existed. None of that. There's none of that. They released me because they have nothing against me. Nothing. Yeah. And this is the USCIS. This is the Immigration Service, not the embassy coming up with some of these bogus ideas. So again, it's a mess, and I feel like these embassies need to be looked into more because the Border Patrol ends up feeling the blunt of all this. But where does it start? Where is the source? It's always the question of where is the source. Where the source is, yes, there's economic issues, there is physical abuse, there's all kind of stuff. But then also there's tax dollars being spent in the billions, hundreds of billions on these diplomatic corps. To be fair, my journey was not as difficult as many stories that I've heard. Heartwarming, really heartbreaking stories. My journey really, I'm somewhat of a sophisticated life in the sense that, I spent a lot of time. Again, most of the time that we wasted was waiting on the embassy because they kept on dragging their feet. 6-7 months waiting while my kids are crying on the phone, and we don't have the income to be able to have them come back to Tunisia where I was. So anyhow, it started by researching, reading a lot of articles, researching as far as North Africa, the route that is being used right now mostly by a lot of Mauritanians and West Africans. It goes through Turkey. And then from Turkey, they're going to Nicaragua because Managua, the capital of Nicaragua, they have allowed for visa on arrival. And then from Managua, there is literally almost like travel companies doing packages for upwards to $6,000-7,000 from there to and then $6,000-7,000 from Nicaragua, but before Nicaragua, there's at least $3,000-4,000. So I'm told by I think the 4 Mauritanians that were detained. I'm told about $10,000, which comes down to their local currency, about 45,000 of their local currency, which is a lot. I mean, a lot. So so like I said, so they managed to get the flights to Nicaragua. Managua has visa on arrival for 30 days for North Africans. And then from there, you got literally their journey through, I don't know, coyotes, whatever you want to call them, facilitators, whatever, well established with buses through El Salvador, through Honduras, El Salvador, Guatemala, and then through Mexico. So that's the route that's been, upwards of 6,000-7,000 Mauritanians and West Africans, as far as the last articles that I've read, have taken that route. So I looked into it. I couldn't afford it, to be honest with you. This is just that, I was sending money to my kids and wife because she had to be on welfare. She just arrived there and she had to get the kids to school, and there's a lot of struggle. So I had to kind of try to help with that. On the same time, I was waiting on the embassy, and and the wife was calling them to see if can we expedite, can we do this, but they were literally rude and treated her like a second-class citizen. I don't know why. We still can't figure that out. So another route right now, which is a difficult route, is through Brazil, because Brazil has I don't know if you guys know. I think they do that for Americans too. Yeah. So Brazil has sort of I don't know the word, but the equivalency. That means if you impose a visa on Brazil, Brazilians will impose a visa on you. They do that to Americans too.
Yeah.
So where I'm from, they don't have a visa to as far as for Brazilians. So we don't. So a lot of Africans can go to Brazil, and from Brazil take the route all the way. So David mentioned the Amazon Strait, where they cross the jungle from Colombia to Panama and so on and so forth. That is
Darien Gap.
I mean, yes, the famous Darien Gap. Yeah. So that is, to me personally, man, it gives me chills, because the 2 or 3 guys that one of them did it on his own with Google Maps, man. I don't know how the hell he did it. I have no clue how he did it. I was listening and trying to understand them. Oh, it was just heartbreaking, the suffering. So, but yeah, through Brazil and then Colombia and keep on going that way. That's another route. For me, again, I booked flights. I didn't go through that trouble, to be fair, but I've had some issues with visas because North Africans don't get a lot of visa access around Latin America. We don't have a lot of embassies there. We don't have a lot of trade. We don't have a lot of commerce between our countries. So it's kind of an unknown commodity, in a sense that everything is new. For me, I was able to get a visa to Colombia. And I'm very grateful to choose Colombia because it's affordable. It's been a good experience for myself to get get closer, and on the same time figure out the lay of the land and understand where I'm going. So I'm grateful for that. And then from there, my goal was to get a visa to Mexico. And most of my American friends are still confused as to why I would need a Mexican visa. That's a whole other discussion. And then the Mexican visa has become extremely difficult, almost as difficult as the American visa, because of pressure from the United States to stop the flow. So we end up making it very difficult for people who want to legitimately do this.
Mm-hmm.
So finding an appointment for a Mexican embassy, then you find out which embassy of Mexico has appointments available. Some of them don't have ever. Some of them have them 2 years from now. Some of them have them, for a particular visa, but not the other. anyhow, so for me, it was Colombia. And then I found an appointment for Mexican visa in Belize. But unfortunately, I ended up going from Colombia to Panama to Nicaragua to Guatemala and then Belize, because Belize has not a lot of flights from Latin America. And then when I got to Guatemala, all the previous countries allowed me to transit without a problem, but Guatemala decided to put me in a detention for almost 40 hours, and then wanted to return me back to original country because so I'm like, my plane departs in few hours. I'm going to Belize. Why are you doing this? Please, I don't need the visa to Guatemala. I'm not going to Guatemala. Nothing, no discussion. Yeah. Just they threw me in there, cockroaches, you name it, the whole enchilada. I mean, no food, no water, no nothing. I mean, it's just sad, very sad, very sad, very sad. That was a really bad experience. And then so I was sent back to Panama, then from Panama to Colombia, and then Colombia, they was going to send me back to North Africa. So it was going to be a really mess. So I had to use some of my customer service skills that I've learned through the years to wiggle myself, where I last minute was able to, with the help of some friends, buy a ticket to, in the midnight hour, really, they were going to send me. So I bought a ticket to Ecuador, where I had a visa for 90 days. So I was able to get out of that mess, stay in Ecuador for a couple of weeks, and then try to get to Belize again. And the next time I was successful in going into Belize through Panama and then Nicaragua, then straight to Belize, avoiding Guatemala. And in Belize, I was there for a couple of weeks. And then I was able to get a visa to Mexico, thank God. And there was a lot of Russians, there was a lot of Turks, there was a lot of, no Turks, no. Russians and a lot of East Europeans trying to get a visa there too, for Mexico. And basically, from there, it was the journey of taking a bus from Belize to Cancun, Cancun to Monterrey, Monterrey to Cabo. I found a volunteering job in Puerto Escondido. I'm a yoga practitioner, and I found a yoga retreat there to try to help with my mental health and all that stuff. So
yeah, that's good.
And they're doing a great job. It's in the middle of the wilderness. They're really, working on nature preservation and beautiful job they're doing there. And then from there, Cabo San Lucas, I volunteered at a hotel to kind of be able to eat and sleep. And then from there, Tijuana. And then at Tijuana, I met someone earlier in Cancun, a Colombian, who was, all the time I was in Mexico, I was trying to do the app, the CPV One app.
Yeah, and how was your experience with that? Because I've heard
horrible, absolutely horrible, absolutely horrible, absolutely horrible. I mean, it's just basically useless. It's useless. And I met people who've been there for 2 months on the app, and it didn't work.
Explain to me what didn't work about it. Like, did it log you out? Did it?
I wish I can send you I have screenshots that I can send you so you can understand what I. So it tells you. It tells you. So you sign up, you put your information, your passport, and all that stuff, and then basically what you're doing is you're in the queue, and there's like a lottery system where they see how long you've been waiting, how old are you, where are you from. There's like a lottery system that randomly selects people. So, but again, out of close to 100 people in my detention cell, room, everybody's saying we all tried, and none of them, got an appointment. I mean, everybody wants an appointment. I mean, who's in his right mind would choose to forego an appointment and go through all that trouble? So, and if we could do a little bit of math, eventually at some point I spoke to the supervisor of the Border Patrol Detention Center, and he told me there's 1,800 people at any given point in that place. So out of 1,800 people, and if my cell, there was about 6 cells or something, or more than that, no, much more. 6 cells and then 4 blocks, I think. So anyhow, I mean, if out of 100, then you have nobody was able to use the app. then what's to tell out of the 1,800? Maybe 99%. I mean, all of them really, because if they did have appointment, if they had appointments, they would have been not in there, right? I mean, that's the key. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So I mean, it's just a flawed system. I was telling my wife yesterday, that's like a lipstick on a pig, because you're just trying to make it look like you're doing something, but it's really like there's nothing being done about it. And anyhow, so I'm still dazed and confused. I mean, I'm trying to understand the situation. So I was the last one to get in, and literally I'm sitting there I'm standing there at the border itself, at the wall, and I'm like, what's going on? Where is the Border Patrol? Where is the port of entry? Where is this? I'm like confused.
After finding himself unable to make an appointment through CBP-1, Amos decided to make his way to Hukumba, like thousands of other migrants. And I think it's worth pointing out here that nothing that he has done up to this point is breaking any laws, right? It's not illegal to drive around in Mexico. It's not illegal to approach the border from the south. All of this stuff is the legal way to move around. No crimes have been committed. And it is, of course, legal to cross the border and present yourself for asylum immediately upon doing so, even to cross between ports of entry. It's at the discretion of the administration or the prosecutors to charge for that crossing. But that is a legal means to claim asylum. And so we'll let Amos pick up again here as he takes his first steps into the United States.
The first thing I see is I'm pretty sure there's some Fox News stuff, because they were so aggressive, camera and a brand new Jeep, and they were like, hey, go, shoot. And then ladies and dudes and everybody was running, and they were running after them to shoot them with a camera. I mean, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
And you can tell there is malicious intent behind what they're doing. It was not like trying to be sort of neutral or anything. They were just, Anyhow, so I'm looking for a Border Patrol. I'm trying to say, hey, I'm filing for asylum. Where are you? What's going on? Nothing. There's nobody. So I'm just walking around around the wall. I call my wife. I called some friends. Thank God I still had signal. And then, the first Border Patrolman that I saw, he was pissed off. He said, F you this, move out of my way. Fine, cool. I told him whatever I said. If I didn't like, I said, I'm sorry. And then I moved on, and nobody's interested even to talk. So, and then I moved closer to the crowd. And I don't know if that's when I saw David, but it was about almost, yeah. And even when I saw David initially, but then I kept going to have an idea of the whole camp and the whole, understand what's the dynamics. I saw some National Guardsmen, I saw some DHS police, and I saw some Border Patrolmen. It's like a whole mix of people. And I think there was Park Rangers, if I'm not mistaken.
BLM Rangers, yeah.
Yeah. So BLM Rangers, yeah. So it's a whole huge mix of people. And right away, my survivor instincts kind of, I saw David and I saw tools, and my eyes opened up, because, I worked I built my farm from scratch in North Africa, and I have my tools are everything to me. So anyhow, so I'm glad I did see that familiar sight, and I appreciate that. But about you, David and Cesar, you guys were terrific. And nobody spoke English. Nobody.
Yeah.
And everybody's being treated like, I told one Border Patrolman, I have cows, I have sheep. I treat them better than the way you treat these guys. I really do. I truly do. And they didn't like that kind of talk. But anyhow, so, it got really cold. Fairly quickly. And right away, David and Cesar, thank God, had some tools, and we started, working on getting some tents up and running. And they did most of the work, really. I was just there helping. So, and it was, dude, my heart was really giving me a lot of pain, because in my mind I had my boy and my girl in my mind, and I'm just trying to get to them. But I seen these kids, man. That was horrific, man. That was not right. That was not right in that cold. It was just not right. And I'm telling you, it's still in my mind right now. I mean, I'm not gonna let you. It's just it's embedded, you know.
Yeah, it affects all of us. Like, I was there last night. There was a little baby there, and I couldn't sleep coming home. You know, like, and I think.
I mean, you know, geez, dude. Like, you know, the thing is this. You know, okay. Again, I told David, it's not a question of left or right. The question is, so I get it. I spoke to a bunch of border patrolmen. I couldn't sleep at night. Yeah. I basically kept on going after David and Caesar left. I tried to sleep. I couldn't sleep. I called my kids. They sleep at 8:40 or 8:30. So I spoke to them, and then they were asleep. And then I got up, and I kept walking around. Some people had a lot of wood. Some people didn't have enough wood. So, and some people didn't want me to take some of their wood. I had to go pick up some wood and try to look, make sure everybody's fire is up and running.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, when everybody had the fire and everybody kind of somewhat settled in, I figured, hey, if I'm up, let me talk to these border patrolmen. I spoke to the first one. He was kind of, you know, didn't want to talk, but still said a few things.
Yeah.
But then another one, originally from San Diego, cool guy, really cool guy. He gave me the picture. I mean, look, listen, I mean, you know, we're here to work and it's stressful. It's a lot. We're trying to do the best we can. It's not our fault. And it's not, you know what I mean? You know, and he told me, listen, you can go back to Tijuana or you can go in the United States or do whatever you want. But if I pick you up outside of this area, you're going straight to deportation. That's the bottom line. But if you stay here, you'll get to be picked up and processed, and you'll have a chance to file for your asylum. So, again, excellent information, with the exception of even they don't know the process, because you don't get to file for asylum in detention. In detention, they release you on your recognizance, and then later on you file for asylum.
Yes. Yeah.
So, and that's a misconception, because everybody is saying, everybody that I spoke to initially said, yeah, you can file for your asylum right in here, but it's not true. So, but anyhow, and then I spoke to a couple of National Guardsmen, a couple of kids, like in the early 20s from New York. And, I mean, you know, just a couple of kids. We started talking about hunting. We started talking about, you know, fishing and stuff like that. And they were, you know, what do you expect? You know, they're doing their job. And they're human beings doing what human beings do. Yeah. So, I mean, I can absolutely sympathize and understand, you know, these guys' jobs. My only beef is like, do you have to be, yes, you're pissed. Yes, it's a lot of work. Yes, it's frustrating. Yes, it feels like your country is invaded. Yeah, blah, blah. We get all that. But is you being mean, rude, or downright evil, is that going to change anything? It's not. Yeah. These guys went through freaking the Amazon. I mean, at some point I swam with a crocodile. I didn't even know the crocodile was around. I'm just saying, it's so weird that they're educated and they're informed, yet they still have that attitude. It's just like, you know what I mean? It doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't help. And like, look, it doesn't matter what you think about policy. Like, if there's a baby crying because it hasn't eaten all day.
No, they get cold. They became cold-hearted, and it sucks because, again, I spoke to this guy from San Diego, which I really appreciate. He's, you know, sort of, you know, he was very forward with me, and I appreciate that, because it probably doesn't get to talk to anybody because nobody speaks English.
Yeah.
So, and then the idea is, you know, they're frustrated. They're with the system. They're frustrated with the capacity, with the position they're put in. Okay, I absolutely sympathize. You cannot go wrong with that. I mean, you have every right to be that way. Again, my beef is, why do you, like, good morning, F you, good afternoon, F you, good night, F you, like what is this? Like, it becomes so sad. It's just like, you know, it loses its importance. Even the F word is no longer important. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's just too much. It's too much.
It's very dehumanizing, isn't it? Like, everyone who participates in it gets dehumanized.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I mean, eventually, I got inspired by David and Caesar, and I think they did a freaking amazing job. I mean, it was a shock in my system to see the contrast between. I think it's the biggest necessary contrast in that specific place. You need to see the two sides of the American spirit. Right there, you have volunteers saying F you to the system, and you have bordersmen saying F you to the system. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a huge contrast, and that's what really gives hope for anything going forward. So I appreciate it. I don't think David and Caesar really understand how important what they're doing. It's extremely important. It's very valuable. So to me personally, it just the shock and awe, the initial shock, it just went away really quickly because I saw tools and I saw David and I knew what's going on. Because I volunteered in shelters in LA, in Los Angeles. I volunteered at the mission down at downtown LA, on Skid Row, if you hear of Skid Row. I volunteered there. I know very well what homelessness looks like. So I've done Christmas service. I've done food service. Automatically, when I saw David, I just completely kicked in, and it was a natural thing for me to jump aboard and help. And then again, I couldn't sleep. Early in the morning, like 4 or 5, I start seeing some border patrolmen coming in, and right away the huffing and puffing starts. You know what I mean? The trawling and all that business. Okay. Yeah. And initially, I mean, I hate to use the word but I helped organize the crowd a little bit because they were fighting, because they were the BP was picking up people that have been there. They just arrived and leaving the people that were there longer. Yeah. 4 to 5. The ones that I stayed with were there for 4 days. They didn't get picked up. And so that it's a logistical issue, and people were just not being organized. So we did a demarcation line. Those who were here for 3 days, they need to be here. 2 days, 1 day, da-da-da-da-da. We did that. And then the first border patrolman that showed up on a Jeep started yelling at me, you're doing our job. Blah, blah. Okay, sorry. I backed up. I minded my business. And then another border patrolman tells me, hey, listen. I need you to do 47 on this side, 47 on this side. I need you. Yeah. I'm like, what's going on here? I mean, again, I dropped my ego. I don't care as long as these guys get a chance to get through, because there was a lot of frustration where they're picking up people random, and they're picking up, leaving people that are been there for a long time. You had families that did not want to be separated. You had families that have been there longer. And you had, so it's just a huge mishmash of situations. Anyhow, so, I mean, eventually on the next day, early in the morning, we did some organizing, and it seemed to me that we were much more fluid, and the border patrolman filled up the bus, and I happened to be one of them, one of the people that were picked up.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so.
But what a story! What a journey!
Right? It's insane. I'm still processing, man.
Of course. I mean, that's a hugely traumatic experience. And it's just like, one story. And like you said, there are thousands of them.
Thousands.
All right, that's where we're going to cut it off today. And we will pick up again tomorrow to hear more about Amos's journey, how he's found himself in the United States, where he's going, and where he is now. Thank you so much.
Honestly, no one wants to think about HIV, but there are things that everyone can do to help prevent it. Things like PrEP. PrEP stands for pre-exposure prophylaxis, and it means routinely taking prescription medicine before you're exposed to HIV to help reduce your chances of getting it. PrEP can be about 99% effective when taken as prescribed. It doesn't protect against other STIs, though, so be sure to use condoms and other healthy sex practices. Ask a healthcare provider about all your prevention options, and visit findoutaboutprep.com to learn more. Sponsored by Gilead.
Tired of spills and stains on your sofa? Wash away your worries with Anabei. Anabei is the only designer sofa that's machine washable inside and out, starting at just $699. Plus, Anabei sofas are pet-friendly, stain-resistant, and feature changeable slip covers and modular pieces. Get up to 60% off site-wide with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Visit WashableSofas.com to get yours now. That's WashableSofas.com. Offers are subject to change and certain restrictions may apply.
For period protection you can put on and forget about, nothing beats Knix leak-proof underwear. North America's #1 leak-proof underwear brand. Let's face it, life can be unpredictable, but your leak-proof underwear shouldn't be. That's why millions of people choose Knix. For periods, for light leaks, for everyday freshness. Knix undies are super comfy, super absorbent, and made to handle whatever your day throws at you. Day 2 of your period? Covered. Your daily run? No problem. That big sneeze? You know the one. Yep, we've got you. And with styles like bikinis, boy shorts, thongs, and high-rise, plus sizes from extra small to 4XL, Knix makes it easy to find your perfect fit. Say goodbye to stress and leaks and say hello to undies that work just as hard as you do, no matter the leak. Find the style and level of protection you want at Knix.com and use code FLOW15 for 15% off. That's KNIX.com, code FLOW15 for 15% off. Knix, for your leaks, for your life.
I wanted to ask, so one of the people on the call is Emmett. Emmett had helped build some other shelters. As you may not know, almost, there are 3 camps, maybe David shared this with you, similar to the one that you were in. There are 3 in different locations. Some of them are even colder than the one that you stayed in. And volunteers, including myself, including Emmett, had built shelters. Emmett, perhaps you could describe how you sort of decided to do that and came up with the shelter design that you came up with.
Yeah, definitely. And I just want to say I'm processing also, Amos, is also hearing your story and appreciating for all of us coming to build shelters, it's realizing there's all these stories that we are not knowing. And all of us have these lives that are so independent, individual, and showing up and meeting folks who've been through whatever they have been, and it does stuff to us all, And I think hearing you right now, I'm just really processing kind of what you're saying, and I hope many people hear how you're framing all this. I just really appreciate how you're framing the story and how you're sharing both your perspective, but also what it means to just be confused. I think for me, I felt so, even after many years of working in this space, just so confused by how CBP is treating people in the OADs, at least in this desert right now. But basically, it's winter time now in California, and for the last several months, people have been kept overnight in the desert in the borderlands, which has been brutal and it has been terrible and inhumane for CBP to keep people in the desert. But as it became winter, it became deadly, and the risk of extreme hypothermia events for hundreds of people became so severe that a lot of our day in, day out work to making sure people had food, and if there were babies that they were taken care of as needed, or if folks had specific health issues that we could show up for them. But the thought of just doing that and hope, bringing as many blankets as we could. We're bringing up blankets and tents and tarps, things to keep people off the ground. Basically looking in our basements and asking all of our friends, hey, we're looking behind every gas station for boxes of cardboard or whatever it is. But that just didn't seem enough. It seemed like we were actually doing a harm to be the ones who had seen this. And that's something we deal with, is realizing there's so many folks who just don't know what's going on. So for us to be a community seeing this and not taking to the next level, and still I feel this way, but it felt like we were not doing, or we were actually doing a harm by not kind of addressing the winter as it was happening. So the idea of building shelters was to try to basically do something more than just bringing out supplies and letting people fend for themselves, but creating something that might actually create more of a long-term safety. And then again, I mean, these are detention sites. We are working as volunteers inside of a basically informal detention site that CBP is operating. So it's a very confusing for us to know, we're here trying to be with people directly, trying to see what people are wanting and needing and what is their needs. But we're also kind of navigating around this very erratic system that is sometimes denying us entry to these sites, sometimes trying to have us do things for them, and other times kind of allowing us to be there and bringing food because it serves CBP for us to keep people alive. But that's a really confusing process. So anyways, there was a lot of talk going on about making shelters, and people have been assembling pallets. And one day I was just talking with some of the other organizers, and we're thinking, well, I'll just do this. I'll come back tomorrow and we'll start. And so with some volunteers from the Dollar Lunch Club from UC San Diego, we set out and to the campsite we call Tower 177 and started building this. And immediately, kind of as you're saying, also Amos, we had about a team of 10 people from Colombia and Kyrgyzstan helping us build this shelter from pallets, cardboard, plastic sheeting, tarps, and James and myself and some other folks had been talking the night before. What are the different shelters, and using all of our outdoor experience, wilderness experience, and kind of putting it all together and having kind of a roundtable discussion. Like, well, I've seen this work before. I've done this before. I mean, this might work. This might be a nice way of using these pallets. Trying to find something that would be stable to withstand wind conditions. It being kind of resource smart, making sure we're not overusing whatever wood we have in some sort of super intricate design, and also something that we could assemble quite quickly and would be versatile. So something we could do in different settings, and also building something and building a design that wouldn't be super hard for people to use. So yeah, so it just felt like we were kind of putting our heads together, and that's what we came up with, was basically this super shelter that was basically a backbone of 6 pallets. And maybe, I don't know, James, it's possible to link some photos or whatnot, but
we'll
putting together basically great, yeah, some sort of yurt-like structure that can be kind of designed or can be changed as it would be, and especially something that anybody who's using it gets to actually mimic their own home, their own setup. So it's not something that we're kind of dictating how it needs to be used. But yeah, we've had a really positive experience and a lot of expertise from folks from Kyrgyzstan to kind of lead the way. So we brought the tools, and other folks who were going to use it basically created shelter themselves.
Yeah.
So that was our first experience, and yeah. Well,
Amos's point was really a good one, and it's one I'd considered too. Like it's quite. Yeah, I don't want to compare the difficulties we encounter as volunteers to the difficulties Amos has just encountered, has just kind of shared with us in his journey, because they're not the same. But like, it can be quite difficult. I speak quite a few languages, but still, with large groups of people who you can't speak to, and you want to connect, you want to be like, what's happening to you is it's disgusting and disgraceful, and it's not me. I don't want it to happen, and it shouldn't be. And I want to be in community with you as much as I can. And so when we don't have that language, the way that we can connect, one of the ways that we can connect is to grab a hammer or a screwdriver or something and start building something together.
I love it. You're so right. You're so right, James. You are so on point, dude. No, I mean, it's just seeing that Ryobi drill was like heaven to me. I mean, I swear, not to give any brands or whatever. I'm just saying.
Just find us my drill.
It's not my favorite brand for sure. But but you really, really, I mean, truly, like you guys say, I mean, it's just such a universal sort of language. Like as men and as women and as people, we want to build, we want to protect, we want to. I mean, I'm taking this journey to come to my kids and show them support and safety and protect. And it's happening, right now. I was talking to them earlier, and they're excited to see their dad soon, and just that feeling of warmth I mean, this is what we do. This is what we do. And then if you want to narrow it down and break it down to the basics, it's just what it is. It's the human level. It's the human condition. I mean, really? So these guys are going to go through this pain for what? I mean, clearly they're going through, worser things. And then that's the whole point. That's what they're trying to do. So, and then before I forget, and then I hope my phone doesn't, die on me. Let me just give you the detention. If you guys have
Please
a minute,
do.
let me give you the, So before I, so basically on, I think it was Monday, we get rounded up to what can easily be compared to a ranch cattle kind of process where, here, take off your belt and everything. Yeah, that's familiar, but there's a little extra. The bus driver is cussing at you like it's nobody's business, and gratuitous humiliation. And maybe you have one of them is nice, but the rest are just, absolutely want to just tear you down as much as they can. And anyhow, so we're lined up. We're onto this bus that's behind the camp, closer to Highway 80. I believe Highway 80. Yes.
Yeah. You're right.
And basically we're lined up. We're tagged. We're basically stripped of everything that could be "quote unquote" dangerous. We're left with only one shirt in the middle of that cold morning, and doesn't matter man, women, everybody is treated the same. I appreciate their equality on that issue. And then we are on a bus journey that's about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, maybe more, to the I'm trying to remember this very well because it's just, it's important, I guess. San Diego sorting facility, San Diego District sorting facility, aka MCU. That's what they call it.
Yeah.
And basically, your stuff is sorted, and anything that needs to be thrown away is thrown away. And you become let me be clear, you become a subject. You're a subject now. You're not an alien, you're a subject, James. Make sure you understand this. You're a subject, sir. Let's be clear about the naming structure here. You are a subject, all right? So I'm giving a subject number. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I can't believe in this day and age, I gotten used to the whole alien thing, alien number, but now it's a subject number. So anyhow, so we're done. We've gone through that, and then you just look at people and the dizziness and the confusion, elders, women, babies. It's just heart aching. And again, you have a couple of military border patrolmen, tall and acting like they're in the Marine Corps. They're just shouting left and right, and they're like, treating people like they were disposable. So that's right there. Anyhow, so that's they call it the intake. So you're doing the intake, and you're lined up, and you're being stripped. I mean, not stripped, searched. You're searched, and then your backpack is taken away. You open it up in front of them as if you were at the airport, and then they throw away stuff that even though they're not. What's crazy is the backpack is going to be zipped, and they're going to be tagged and put away. So I'm not sure why throwing away food from the backpack is going to add anything, or some things don't make sense, but I guess that's what it is. So then you're done with the intake. You sit down inside the central area, and you're waiting to be processed. Processing means fingerprints, picture, and then you write down. They take a copy of your passport, and in there you write down the address in which you will be, quote unquote, released later on. So that's that. And then basically a couple hours later, you're assigned a detention cell. It's a big place. I mean, it's not a cell like a small cell. It's probably, 20 by, I don't know. I'm bad with distances. But anyhow, the point is we're there. We're taken to this place. I don't know, James. I don't know what you think of this. So they don't put handcuffs on us.
Right.
But they tell you to put your hands behind your back as you're walking.
Yeah, very strange.
I don't understand what's the point of that. Like they insist of putting your hands as if they were handcuffed behind your back.
Yeah,
as you're walking, as you're walking. That is a big rule, and if you don't do it, they get pissed at you. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm always testing the water, and I pissed them off a number of times. I did put my hands forward because I'm like, what are you trying to get to? You know. Anyhow, so you get into your cell. Mine was 2A. All right, 2A.
Yeah.
Pod. I'm sorry. They're called pods. Pods.
Okay.
Yeah. Because you know we're into share. What is it? Work share spaces, basically. Pods.
Yeah, like we
so
work.
sad. Yeah, we work. Here we go. We work. A fancy work.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so we were there. You're giving gym mats, and then you know when we all put our gym mats on the floor. Imagine there is zero space in between. Like the whole pod is covered with gym mats. No, you have to walk on gym mats, basically anywhere you go. All right, so that's the fact. And then you're giving these what do you call them? There's not thermals, the little alloy foil blankets, whatever you call them.
Oh yeah, the Mylar blankets.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, those guys. And they do kind of work, but for me, they're too small. I mean, I guess I'm a tall guy. I mean, I don't know. So either your foot are sticking out or your head is sticking out or whatever. And I'm not the only one. There's a lot of people like that. Yeah. So, and then AC is blasting full speed, 24/7, light, full bright light, 24/7.
Jesus.
And and then a lot of, again, they teach this in school in Psychology 101. So light, 24/7. AC, freezing AC. We're only allowed one shirt. And then I'm talking about probably they have it on 55, 60. No more than 60 degrees for sure. All right. And then you have people cold and getting sick. And then they clean 3 times a day to their credit, where we all have to get out so the cleaning crew can come in. But here's the key. They clean at 8 in the morning, at 5 in the afternoon, and at midnight.
So you can't sleep.
Come on, dude. Really? Seriously? Yeah. And God forbid you ask, because that's just not allowed. Anyhow, so midnight, exactly midnight, sharp, get out. People, everybody sleep. Get up. And there's no, again, it's we know these tactics. We read about these. This is like, torture in a way, I bet you somewhere in the Geneva Convention, there's something about this. I mean, I'm sure. Yeah, so, I didn't want to create too much drama the first day, James. The second day, I started testing the water. I'm like, I'm being nice to everybody. Nobody speaks English, so I have to kind of speak up for people. Some people need to go medicine. I mean, medicine or whatever. I speak for them, whatever. And then some people are just don't understand when their name is called for because it's misspelled. So I'll help with that. In general, like, I literally would walk around and ask for extra blankets and things like that. This is all I've been doing. I hope the video will come out. We're doing a few Freedom of Information Act requests. So hopefully we can get that.
Good.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll share that with you. Well, I mean, they're going to fight it tooth and nail. They're going to fight it tooth and nail.
Yeah, it'll take.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Thank you. Exactly. So anyhow, after the second day, again, they give you food. I mean, food. Yeah, they give you food. The second day, I started asking the question, okay, when am I going to get my phone call? The first person said, well, I'll pass on your request. By the end of the day, I've asked like 3-4 times to 3-4 different people. So the pods area is manned or supervised by DHS police. And then the processing in the central area is done by BP. And BP and customs and DHS hate each other. I mean, that's just clear. They told me that to my face. They don't get along. All right?
Right.
So when you're talking to DHS police, because they're the one kind of the prison guards, they just don't talk to BP. They don't convey the information that you're as a prisoner. So that's been difficult. So you would want to ask to go to the nurse or something, so on the way you can try to pass on information. So anyhow, so I kind of located the situation, and then on the second day, I asked 3 times, I need my phone call, They came out and told me, you're crazy, we don't do phone calls, stop asking. So you're telling me I'm in U.S. soil, I don't get to see the outdoor 24/7, and you don't let me make a call to my lawyer or family, and that's when I just lost my shit. So by the end of the second day, I entered into a hunger strike.
Oh wow!
My body shut down complete. My body shut down completely. People that have known me to be constantly active. I do yoga. I did yoga. People will start following me, doing activities and trying to be sharp. Stay sharp. They saw me shut down completely. I didn't eat or drink anything. I mean, completely. I shut down everything, all systems aboard. That's it. So right away, my eyes are closed. The next day, they start freaking out. They bring in the wheelchair. But before they, just to let you know, before they put me on the wheelchair, with a baton, they're just hammering me to make sure this is real. They're hammering. I still have bruises. I still have like a red dot on my chest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, the kindness of their heart. Yeah. Again, they're very hateful because of where they are and what's going on.
Sure.
So So I'm taken to the nurse. The nurse tells me what's going on. I told her, look, my body has shut down. My wife and kids don't know where I'm at. They don't know if I'm alive or dead, and I just can't eat or drink or anything. Listen, sir, it's okay if you don't want to eat, but you have to drink at least water. Or we're gonna put the IV. We can give you IV or antidepressants or anti-anxiety medicine. Listen, lady, I've never had antidepressant or medication. I rarely take medication. I would not have medication. That is not an option. I don't want the IV. I don't want you to touch my body, period. This is me, fully aware of what the consequences are. And unless I get a hold of my lawyer or call my family and tell them that I'm alive and where I'm at, this is gonna, last time I did this, I did it for 4 or 5 days, no problem. So they started freaking out, James. They called the big guns. I think he was a lieutenant or whatever the ranking is. He came in, listen, what's going on? What are you doing, man? You can't be doing this in my house. Again, my house. The guy owns the place. All right.
Yeah.
So I'm like, listen, I'm done. If you don't give me my call, expect me to do this I'll go to the end. I've done this against corrupt governments, and when I was arrested in Tunisia or whatever, I can do this all day long, man, all day long. So he's like, you can't do this. This is ridiculous. I have 1,800 people here. You're going to start a problem. I don't want problems here. So he takes me straight up to the central area, puts me in front of phone, give me the phone number. I give him the phone number. He dials my wife. Bam, bam, shazam. I call her. They were still asleep at 7 in the morning. They have school at 8:30. So I leave her a voicemail. I later found out that she did get the voicemail, thank God. And then she felt really good when she heard my voice and she knew what's going on. Yeah. So I don't know what to tell you, man. It's just a no man's land, and it's just. And dude, when I got to talk to the supervisor, when I escalated because they took my DNA, like what? I told them, look, what's going on? Why are you taking people's DNA? Like, what's going on? I told him, like, what are you accusing us for? Like, what is the accusation exactly? He said, you're not accused of anything. And what am I guilty of? You're not guilty of anything. So why are you taking my DNA? Yeah. And then when because this is the guy, the main guy, this is the guy that I saw coming in the intake, and then later on in the outtake, he's got like 20 screens in front of him. He's manning the border. He's like, it's the main guy. Like it's him.
Yeah.
So I told him, do you have your own DNA taken? He said, yes, I did. Okay, I told him, if your DNA was taken, then you can take mine. That's fine. So they're taking people's DNA to put it in the database. And if you don't sign, they don't let you. They don't let you out. So you can stay there indefinitely until you do your DNA. How is this okay?
Yeah.
And you're not guilty of anything, James. You're not guilty of anything.
Right.
That's the key. So you're not guilty of anything. I mean, I understand if you're arrested for a misdemeanor or a felony, and in states they take your DNA. I get it, but if there is no accusation, there's no guilty. And yet you're taking my DNA for what? For what?
Yeah.
So
what a crazy.
anyhow,
yeah,
so it was really rough. It was really rough, and then they were very, very nasty. I mean, one lady, Miss Diaz, I will never forget her, Officer Diaz. I mean, she was cussing left and right, left and right, left and right, and then I lost it, man. When she had me for, I think they had me do sign papers again. All right, so I was simply asking, why am I signing the same papers again? Do you want to leave or do you don't want to leave? Do you want to leave or do you don't want to leave? And then on the same time, James, as she talks to me, she pauses, she looks at her colleagues, and she's smiling to them, and she's talking to them so nice. I simply told her, why are you talking nicely to your friends and you're so mean to us? Like, why? Why are you doing this? Like, what is the problem? Did I call you names? Did I say something bad? No, but you're not my friend. Yeah, but even if I'm not your friend, why are you cussing at me? Why are you saying these bad things? That shut her down. That totally shut her down, James. I mean, it was a completely different person after that because it was in front of her boss. It was in front of her boss. I mean, I'm telling you, man, this is what happens when you have zero accountability. Zero. I mean, anybody, this is a basic Freudian understanding of psychology 101. Like if you give someone ultimate power, they're going to take advantage. And, you know, I don't know what to tell you, man. I feel bad for the people in that detention because, you know, I'm not saying they're being tortured, but it's just the little drops of water on your head.
Yeah.
After a while, you can turn there's one guy from Russia that was there for 3 weeks.
Wow.
3 weeks. There's one guy from Brazil that was there for a week. Come on, man. I mean, seriously? Like, that's too much.
Yeah.
That's too much. So,
damn. That's a crazy
time.
It
was horrific. And then when I was leaving, I found out that they put the wrong address on my release form. And then, I don't know if you know anything about the U.S. immigration bureaucracy, James.
I do.
It is horrific. It is horrific. All it takes is the wrong digit in the address. They send the paperwork to the wrong address. Oh, we did it. We sent it. We don't care. We don't care. You know what I mean? And then you basically waiting all your life. And that's pretty much what happened to me before when I was in the United States. And then, they don't care. Always to take it up with the U.S. Postal Service. Are you serious? Like, you're going to put someone in jail and because he sent them to the wrong address? Anyhow, so I came back from the bus. The bus is loaded. We're leaving. I came back and told her, look, you got the wrong address here. Like, what's going on? Do you want to leave or do you want to stay? Do you want to leave? That's all they talk about. It's like a favor she's doing. It's not like a law thing. It's not the due process. No. I'll be more than happy to stick you in there because you're complaining about a mistake that we made on your form. It's just
there's no
sad.
need. The
Very
whole
sad,
thing,
very sad.
it's just there's no need to make it as cruel and as hard. And look, people have died in the outdoor detention in another site, not the place where you were, but in San Diego, right? Like, and it's a tragedy, and it doesn't have to happen, and it doesn't have to be this undignified. And I think maybe people will have disagreements about the different immigration laws, and they might feel differently to the way I do, or you do, or Emmett and David do. But I don't think anyone in their right mind would really justify the way you've been treated, and you can multiply that by thousands, right? And you're fortunate enough to be in relatively good health and not too young or not too old or not too sick for this to be a deadly trip and still it's obviously had a massive effect on you, and I can understand why.
I'm having a little bit of nightmares, to be honest with you, because what bugs me the most is those kids, and then on top of it, it's overwhelming because I was thrust in a position where, sadly, I had to speak up for a lot of people. Yes, my family tragedy, is an issue. But I don't want to talk too much about what I did in Tunisia, but I was standing up against corruption and against bribery and things like that. And that costed me a lot of problems, and it cost me, being in a blacklist in a government that's ever going negatively, and jailing activists and jailing citizens for speech. It's sad that Tunisia, the home of the Arab Spring, now is turning into another dictatorship, sadly. So I didn't want to use that as a reason, but I mean, it is what ruined my personal life because I was constantly being, harassed and pushed and shoved by Tunisian, a-holes. And then here I am to find myself in like with a deja vu kind of feeling with these gratuitous insults for nothing. So that kind of triggered me a lot, big time, James.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And then it felt like, what is life worth? I mean, I know I'm coming for my kids, and they're the love of my life, and my wife as well. But I want them to remember their dad as someone who sticks up for others. And James, the most difficult part was David mentioned the Persian guys, the running guys. I got annoyed a little bit, James, because they were really lining up behind me and holding my hand, begging me to help them get out.
Yeah.
And because I'm the only one that spoke the language, and it felt like, they didn't have any recourse and the detention center. And I'm not gonna lie to you, James, that was very difficult. It was very difficult. That was very difficult. I felt like when I was leaving friends, brothers, sisters, brothers behind. And that stuck with me, dude.
Yeah, I understand.
It's just few people specifically that really, 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 really were stuck on me. And it's just, what is this world for? What are we doing all this for? I mean, these are genuine, decent human beings. This country needs as many workers and as many new citizens as possible. Instead of just shoving these people with hatred, just align them, just give them a chance, just rehab, just kind of make sure they know the language, they do all this and they're good. They all want to work. They all want to be good. Nobody that I met there is into drugs or anything. It's just, it sucks because it's like shooting yourself on the foot. It doesn't make sense. And I really felt really sad. And on a lighter note, getting into eventually released and getting on the bus and going to the central elementary, I believe it's called. And I just got out of the bus and I can hear the voices, Amos, 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 everybody's calling. And I'm like, it's getting dark and I can't see. The people, but I found like at least 20 or 18 people that were with me there, and they were crying and they were like, thank you, thank you, thank you. And it was really heartwarming. It really was really heartwarming, and I appreciate that they recognized what we did. We tried to do. A bunch of Mauritanians, Colombians, Mexicans, Ecuadorians, you name it. There was just a Turkish, an older gentleman, Iranian. The Iranians, the same Iranians that I helped get onto the bus from Willow. Those same guys. Eventually, I found them at Central, and it was really nice to see them and for them to just literally jump on me almost and tell me thank you and in so many languages. I appreciate that. So I just hope all this kind of gets somewhere where they understand that it doesn't have to be this way. It really doesn't. And I'm not asking either get more people or do this. I'm just saying there is little tweaks that are not meant to increase the immigration or make it impossible or anything. It's just little tweaks to get this system a little better. That's all I'm saying personally.
Yeah, make it a little kinder, and I think like it's always that way, right? Like it's people helping each other even when the government doesn't help them, and like
yeah.
We just got news. Oh, I was there yesterday that all the shelters at one of the sites were torn down. So like it's
oh shit.
we'll all have to go back and build them again. But
Yep.
People will, because I think we all, at least all of us here, think that people should be treated with dignity and that they deserve a little better than they're being given currently. And have you been able to reunite with your children yet, or is that still in your future?
Yes, it's technically on Thursday. I'm supposed to reunite with them. I am getting there on steps. I'm financially not viable right now. I'm relying on some friends who got me up to Los Angeles right now, and then we're collecting money for gas. And my wife Lauren will be coming down on Thursday with the kids, and then we're gonna go to her mom's in Lancaster for a Christmas party that she does, and then from there we'll make it back up to Pismo. And in Pismo, my wife was sheltering in at her sister's, but the house is overcrowded and there's no way I can stay there. So that's something that I'm trying to figure out, and where to stay, and I don't have friends up there and don't have anything. So it's a problem that I'm having to deal with. And on the same time, I was given April 12th as a court date in Van Nuys, and I have to deal with a lawyer, and we contacted lawyers, and they're expensive. The pro bono lawyers that we called, they're not taking new cases. So it's I knew it was going to be difficult, but when you're in it and it's you think that will be kind of a little better, but it's definitely not looking good. But I'll be close to my kids somehow, and that's what matters to me. But it's just a struggle. I was at Congressman Schiff's office. I mean, what kind of resources you have for immigrants? I just need a little bit of a, start so I can get back on my feet. And I kept them in touch since I was in Africa through the trip. They're the only Congress office that at least interacted with us, with me and my wife. But she looked at me from behind the glass door, and she said, "Good luck." She sent me the county immigrant affairs office link, and she told me good luck, and then and said bye bye, and that's all that she did. So it's tiring, and I'm not giving up, of course, but it's very difficult, James. Difficult.
No, it's it shouldn't be this hard or this complicated or this taxing, especially when your family are here already.
I'm just trying to be. I mean, my wife is on welfare, and they keep cutting her welfare smaller and smaller. We have 2 kids. I just need a chance to get back on my feet and be a good father, to work I can't work right now. I'm not allowed to work.
Yeah.
And I have to find money for the lawyer. I have to find money for me and my kids. It's really quite a humbling experience, and I know I don't want to rely on anybody, but I mean, it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah, no, it is. And I don't know how people are expected to pay for their legal representation when they're also expected not to work. It's a system that seems to design to be as cruel and complicated as possible.
Yet, the jobs are available. The jobs are available, James. I mean, I contacted about 4 or 5 places. My previous work experience in LA and in California was logistics and car rental and stuff like that. I called my previous bosses. They all told me, come over. Get your stuff figured out and come over. We'll find you a job. So we have plenty of vacancies, basically. I mean, so, but, here you are. Here you are.
Yeah, man. Look, I've heard so many of these stories, but they don't stop upsetting me. And I'm glad in a way, because, they're bad and they shouldn't.
Yeah.
They should be upsetting to everyone who hears them. And I'm sure everyone who hears this will want to do whatever they can to make this a little easier. Are there any orgs or nonprofits that have been helping you since you've got in the US that you think people should?
Oh man, nothing. I mean, it's been, those who call very centric as far as Asian Americans or this or that. It's very specific. But
migrants from
just,
Africa have the hardest time of everyone. It's been
I'm telling
consistently the
you,
case.
no joke. And if you're a father trying to make it to your kids and try to, you know what I mean, do right by your kids, doesn't mean anything. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So
that's terrible, man. That's
yeah.
I hate to hear it.
This is the first Christmas for the kids outside of where they grew up. I really wanted to make it as family friendly and happy as possible, but I don't even have the capacity to get them gifts or anything, or even, I don't know. It's just gonna be hard.
Yeah, fuck, man. It is. Yeah. Man, sorry. That's
I know it's okay. I mean, I'm just a drop in an ocean of despair when it comes to immigrants, and I'm getting messages from some of them in New York, some of them in North Carolina, some of them in Illinois, a couple in California. I mean, they're still desperate for help, and especially with language and all that. So, you know, I'm grinding and I'm doing the best I can, but you know, it's a reality check. It's a reality check, Jokes.
Yeah, no, it's really. I mean, it's sickening how quickly you can be like cut down to nothing when the state doesn't care about you.
Yeah.
Amos, I want to thank you so much for giving us your story and your time and being so open with us, because I think that's the only way that this stuff changes, is that people hear, like, numbers are great, and your story is one of tens of thousands, but I think sometimes we need to hear individual stories to understand the human impact of this.
True.
And look, we'll stay in touch. You have my phone number.
Absolutely.
Anytime, anything you need, anything we can do for you, we're here.
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait to come down to the border. I'm not giving up on the border, dude. I'm not. I want to bring at some point my kids to see the price, and then I want to contribute. I want to find a way to give back. I know I can't do it right now, but it's in my mind, and I know I'm not going to give up on that dream of coming back there and continue to help with the volunteers.
That's very kind of you. Well, when you come down, let me know. I'll bring some Ryobi tools, and we can build some stuff.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Fuck, I mean, sorry. I'm just for processing.
Yeah, me too.
For processing this, and like hearing Amos say all this is like, fuck, like that's the conversation, right? Just what he's saying, and it's accountability, this human nature, like something in the way that he was saying that I was just like taking a pause on everything that I wanted to share. Because I really like it hit to the core of like my own frustration with our response is it's not getting to the point that like what he was sharing. I don't know the words right now to say that. My mind is now totally mush.
We'll end it there. I do want to give both of you a chance to plug any and all organizations that you think can help. And because the people who are going to listen to this, we'll break it up into two parts. People will want to alleviate the suffering, and there are people, including yourselves and myself, trying to do that. So if there's an organization that you'd like to plug, fundraiser you'd like to plug, please do.
Well, just the way the conversation ended, the thing that I was thinking is, just anybody listening to what Amos has said, just one very small but perhaps meaningful thing would be to do something to enable him to buy some presents for his kids. I think that would be pretty cool.
Hey, we'll be back Monday with more episodes every week from now until the heat death of the universe.
It Could Happen Here is a production of Cool Zone Media. For more podcasts from Cool Zone Media, visit our website, coolzonemedia.com, or check us out on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find sources for It Could Happen Here updated monthly at coolzonemedia.com/sources. Thanks for listening.
Sink into affordable luxury. Anabay is the only machine washable sofa inside and out. With stain-resistant slip covers and a cloud-like frame duvet, everything goes right in the wash. Plus, the modular design lets you change the look of your space anytime. Visit WashableSofas.com to upgrade your home. Shop up to 60% off site-wide, with sofas starting at just $699 and a 30-day money-back guarantee. Shop now at WashableSofas.com. Offers are subject to change, and certain restrictions may apply.
Wasn't that delicious? So good.
Your bill, ladies.
I got it. No, I got it. Seriously, I insist. I insisted first. Oh, don't be silly. You don't be silly.
People with the Wells Fargo Active Cash credit card prefer to pay because they earn unlimited 2% cash rewards on purchases.
Okay, rock, paper, scissors for it. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. No!
The Wells Fargo Active Cash credit card. Visit wellsfargo.com/activecash. Terms apply.
Flag football is exploding, and iFlag is leading the way. As the Guinness World Record holder, iFlag hosts premier flag football tournaments nationwide for boys, girls, high school girls, and adults. From first-time players to elite competitors, iFlag delivers top-level competition, unforgettable experiences, and a community built around the game. Ready to be part of it? Join the movement. Find your tournament and learn more at iflag.org. That's iflag.org.
This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed Human.